Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa. This is our tactical debrief for PSG 3, Aston Villa 1. How are we all feeling the day after a quarter-final in the Champions League? Let me know in the comment section. Get involved in the comment section. Smash the like button. Help me out. And more importantly, subscribe to this channel. So, last night, I was a little bit defeatist, a little bit sort of not angry, not annoyed, not just accepting of the result. And I think, to be honest, I think it was quite a fair assessment, really. Just being brutally honest, and I'm going to be brutally honest on this show today on exactly how I'm feeling, and my mindset has changed a little bit. I'm feeling a little bit better. So I don't know what that is, but I just am. I can't help but feeling a little bit more positive. But I've got reasons to show you why. We're going to get into it. And there's also things that I'm going to be brutally honest about what happened and about our team as well. So stay tuned then. So we're going to go tactical pad. We're going to go and look at the images. We're going to go and look at some of the player positions. We're going to look at passing networks. We're going to go really in depth on the performance. We're going to analyze it, and we're going to look to where's the glimmer of hope? What do we need to do? What kind of needs to change? And we'll go into it in that way. So sit back, enjoy, and let me know what you think of what I discuss on this episode. So what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to harp on about how good PSG are, because I've already done that. I've already gave them their flowers. I've already said how good they are on the villains. I've already tactically gone in depth of what they were going to play like, what we were going to play, what we needed to do. So I've done all that already. I'm only really solely focusing on Aston Villa right here today, which is why you're all here. Right, so we've got the average positions of both teams, and looking ahead to the game and looking back at the game yesterday, it was clearly obvious that we were always going to have to defend. We were going to defend. We said it. We said the shape that we were going to be in. We were going to be in that back five. We were going to see Ramsey dropping in when we're a little bit higher on this side, etc. And we were going to go into a back six, and that's the makeup of our team. That's the areas in which we were going to defend. Because I think what we've got to talk about as well is the difference between home and away leg is very important, because ideally what happens and what you'd want to happen is that when you play the game in your stadium, you get the best version of yourself. And when you're in the vice versa, you get the best version of. So for me, ideal scenario is PSG in their own stadium, doing their job in their stadium. Villa, when we're in our stadium, we try and become the best version of ourselves. And that is the leveler. The leveler is the crowd, the atmosphere, the ability to win in your own stadium. So that's vitally important, that PSG have been able to win in their own stadium. Now, the beauty of Villa is that we go back to Villa Park with a 2-goal swing. Now, this is where my glimmer of hope starts to come in. You can talk about PSG all we like of how good they are, and you could say they're going to come and do exactly the same at Villa Park, which they could do. But we are very strong at Villa Park, and we have to be more front foot. We have to be more positive. And that's what I think we need to do. So that's where I'm at. We've got to be positive at Villa Park. We're hearing Emery talking about we will win at Villa Park. The players have come out and said, we believe we can win. We believe we can do it still. And as a fan, that's what you want to be able. You want to be able to hear that we still believe that we can go through. And in football, mad things happen. Manchester United went to PSG 3-1 down and went through. So PSG, even though it's the new PSG, it's this amazing team, in the past and against Dortmund last season, they have blown it. So where Villa are at is that we have to make sure we are asking questions. And like what we were saying, exactly the same against Bruges when Villa were 3-1 up, we cannot allow Bruges to get the first goal. Villa have to get the first goal. Villa get the first goal, right? Then we are game on and we are intense and we are on top of the opposition and anything can happen. So that's where my positivity there is coming from. So, yeah, it's gone on a bit of a rant about like where we're at and where the tie is sort of at. So we got here now sort of like average positions of where players were. And it was important that Villa defended well, knuckled down, were difficult to beat because this was what was always going to we were always going to have to do this. I've spoke about in the past Villarreal away at Juventus, and this is what they did under Emery. But what you've got to do is you've got to have options further forward. And this was probably one of my biggest issues with Villa yesterday, is that we defended very well and very compact, but we were a little bit too disjointed from the attack to defense. And this is what I'm going to show you now. So what I basically mean is, if we look at the makeup of what has happened within Villa, it's very congested because it's where every player was on an average over the course of the 90 minutes. Midfield is very congested. What I feel like was Villa's best area was our left-hand side. I felt like left-hand side Villa was very organised, compact, strong, and offered options. So when we're talking about the game, we've got Pau Torres, we've got Pau Torres, we've got Ramsey, we've got Tielemans, we've got Digne, and we've got Rashford on that left-hand side. And that's probably where some of our strongest outlets were. It was probably where we were able to get on the ball a little bit more. Right-hand side, not so much. And if we look at the makeup of the right-hand side to the left-hand side, you can kind of see that what has been happening here. And sort of Konsa's deeper. Kamara is next to Konsa. We've got Cash out wide. We've got Rodgers inverted and McGinn dropping and going into making a double pivot, which is fine. That makeup is fine. But when I'm analysing Villa here and we're talking about this game, what was the one thing that I said I didn't want to see happen in this game? And what I didn't want to see happen was Kamara dropping and screening Cash. And what happens there, it has a knock-on effect because this is the average position. So what you get from the average position is, for example, Cash has spent some time here. He's spent some time here. And over the course of his time on the pitch, that is where his position is. Now, if we're looking at Kamara, and saying he's been doing obviously a lot of defensive work, but he's far away from where Tielemans is. And for me, he's too far away from where I wanted him to be in this game. I wanted personally Kamara's average position to be somewhere in there. Because if Kamara's in there, he's able to engage this midfield a little bit more. And then what you'll get from Kamara being in there a little bit more, you possibly could have McGinn a little bit further. And then you've got more of an option in your attacking sense. I think what's happened is that we've done a lot of defending. We've been suckered into certain areas. And our ability to play out and our ability to have an out ball and an option has been so difficult because the only really option we've got is Marcus Rashford, his pace. And then you're asking Rodgers, which again, Rodgers was having to do a lot of work in here. He's central-ish because he started out here. So we can see that he's been able to go and invert slightly. So for me, I think Kamara's position has been a problem. And I think we've been targeted on our right-hand side. I think Villa's right-hand side has massively been targeted. And we all know that right back is a problem for Villa. And Luis Enrique did target our right-hand side. He did try and expose Cash. Disasi got exposed early on. He grew into it a little bit. And I just think fundamentally with our team, the right-hand side was a bit of an issue. And it's an issue with, especially in this game and especially on this big occasion, it's an issue with quality. And that's what's been our problem, I think, especially on the right-hand side. Because if you're looking at the makeup of what the team has got to do on the right-hand side, so if we're talking about our general setup and our play of what's expected on the right-hand side against PSG, you're looking at Cash being the width. You're looking at Rodgers inverting. You're looking at McGinn dropping in here. You're looking at Ramsey, the width on the left-hand side, because there's no width on the left because Ramsey's going to be that inverter through there. Rashford's leading the line. He'll want to drift a little bit. And this right-hand side here, where you're talking about Cash has got to get forward. He's got to have quality on the ball. He got an opportunity and he sort of like hit it out of play. And then we're talking about best player centrally. He's having to sort of come inside a little bit. That right-hand side showed that we need more quality out there, really, because if that's your width and that's getting forward, and it just didn't really work, did it? That side of the pitch for me was probably the area that we had our most problems. And yeah, we just need a little bit more. I think obviously I'm not saying this is the answer, but why I preferred Disasi or a centre-back there is because on build-up, what you're getting on build-up is you're not having Kamara going in there. You built your solid shape with 3 centre-halves, and then this player can stay more high and wide. And I know this isn't Rodgers' game. I know a lot of us don't really like him out there. But what you're generally getting with having a centre-back that plays at right back is that this player has that, you've got to get up and down, but you can stay a little bit higher and wider, and that's what you'd get from this player. And then we can have more players that are dropping into these zones. Kamara can be in there a little bit. McGinn can do the same. Ramsey can be in there. We can have, we can work out their overload, but we did get overloaded in there. So that's why I always prefer a more defensive-minded player that plays at right back in our system, because for me, we just haven't got the quality to be able to do this at this area in this magnitude of game, really. So it's unfortunate, but I'm just being my honest thoughts of what's happened at right back, really. So right, so let's go into the images then. So we'll have a look at some of the images from the game. And this area, I actually feel like we did really well. We defended this box very, very well at times. We've got Kamara tucked in there a little bit. We've got McGinn helping out. Rodgers is coming back. Our shape in this area was good. We limited to shots outside the box. Their XG actually wasn't the highest. You would well, we'll have a look at that in a second, and you'll be able to see that the XG is fairly comfortable from a Villa point of view. Here we've got the passing network from PSG, and you can see a lot of good work has been done in there. And then you can start to see the gaps in the PSG team of where you could get, joy against them. There's areas there that set little traps, win the ball back, expose them. And from a Villa point of view, pretty much what I was saying earlier, if we split this in half, which half is better? This side, so the left-hand side, is a lot better than the right-hand side. And again, you can kind of see Kamara on Konsa. Really, ideally, we want him in there. Then the picture can start to open up a little bit more. The options are there. Then you can start saying, if you know you've got Kamara in there, certain players can be in different positions. And then you can start getting a little bit further up and higher up the pitch. So for me, we can talk about the opposition being far superior, but we can have certain moments within our own performance that can be better as well. So I fully accept that PSG are a brilliant team, but within our own area of the game, like we can be better. We can do things slightly better. And this was one of them. Big moment here. John McGinn winning the ball back, being aggressive. He won it. He drove us forward. And then we're away. We exposed this. The two at the back. We exposed it. We showed that if we're brave, hungry, and aggressive, you can expose this PSG team. And that's exactly what we did. McGinn plays a great pass into Rashford. He plays then this nice little pass, slide rule pass into Yuri Tielemans, and Morgan Rogers, back post, sticks it away. A brilliant, well-worked goal from Aston Villa. A brilliant goal. Great play, set the trap, pressed, won the ball back higher up the pitch. And just something that I want to see a bit more of, because we've shown that we can hurt this PSG team. And I just think with a bit more belief and a bit more endeavour to push a couple of yards further up this pitch, you're able to pressure more. And it's very difficult. It is very difficult. But again, subtle tweaks, players a little bit more profile in there. There's opportunities to create, and we did create half opportunities, and I'll show you some more. We then go to the Doué goal, which is very, very good, but you can see him here on his own and Villa defending that box. And again, when you play this type of football, you allow space out wide, and what you make sure you do is that you defend your box well. And you can be nitpicking here a little bit, but the finish is world class. And, it's pretty much unstoppable. But from a Villa point of view, defending-wise here, it could be a little bit avoidable. Because if we'd got one of these players here just positioned a little bit further out, then we would have a chance to block it, and we'd have a chance to be able to get, a 2v1. And against PSG, if you leave players with a 1v1, then their ball striking ability is very, very good. So you allow them to get on their stronger foot, then this goal can happen. So from a Villa point of view, when you're analysing this, you'd be saying somebody else needs to get out and really help Morgan Rogers, because he doesn't get in front. There's nobody in front blocking it. Tielemans is just a yard, the wrong position, really. So, world class finish. If you're going to be nitpicking, then analysing it in the way in which you would analyse this goal, it needs to be blocked, really. 1-1 at half time, and you're starting to think this is a great result so far in the first quarter of the game for Villa. And then we come out in the second half and we get done a little bit. We start playing and we've committed players forward, and nice little bit of play inside central midfield for PSG. They've been able to turn us over. The ball's gone here, and we've got a problem. We've got another 1v1 situation. And again, we've got players that can get back into position. But, if you're looking at Villa's midfield, we've got Yuri and we've got Kamara, who are outside of where they would really kind of want to be. And then we've got no wide midfielder that's going to be helping support Disasi. So he is 1v1. And Disasi here, I think he's in a good shape. I think that shape is generally quite good when they're side on. But what ends up happening is that he then gets square on. He gets in a bit of a mess. He makes this little lunge / sticking his leg out, and he's been done. And Kvaratskhelia fires one roof of the net, and it's 2-1. So that's a problem. But we then get into another one where it's another 1v1, and Kamara's able to, with his body shape, make sure that the shot's not available. And that's the difference between sometimes 1v1. It's about your body position. It's about trying to make the player go inside a little bit, or take away what he wants to be able to do. And, this is good defending from here, because nothing really comes of it. There's a pass that comes of it. But so those are the goals. And then this is what I'm talking about, guys. There was a bit of a spell, probably around the 80th minute mark at 2-1, where I felt like we looked a bit more confident and we started to create some openings, guys. And this is what leads me to the home game of creating stuff, is that Rodgers started to get into these little positions at 2-1. Although this isn't, this is at 71 actually. So even maybe it was at 71, or probably around this time. This is a big chance for Rodgers. Like, this is a big, big opportunity to have a strike on goal. And it's not a massive chance, but it's an opening, and it's an opportunity, and on target, good connection. Great chance for Villa, really, to get into that situation. Again, 90th minute, he's got a shot off. Another opportunity for Villa. So there were opportunities there in that second half. And then towards the end of the game, a little slide rule pass that's been able to beat our defence, and Mendes is able to sit down Konsa and Martinez. Again, I spoke about this on my match reaction, these little drag backs and a really good finish, and it's 3-1 there. So, there's a bit of a breakdown on some of the goals as well. If we have a little look at the underlying numbers and some of the average positions from a Villa point of view, you'll get a better picture of what I was talking about with Kamara's positioning, especially. So we've got Luka Dean, who did get high. He was getting into those final third areas. We've got Cash, the same, doing a lot of box defending. Pau and Konsa. And then we've got Kamara. Look where all Kamara's work is in that 18-yard box. And where you can see McGinn is where you would really want Kamara to be doing his work. Compare Kamara to Yuri Tielemans, and yes, it's deeper, but the heat map of Tielemans and Kamara is slightly different. In the second leg, if we can get Kamara further in that midfield a bit more, then for me, we'll have, where's that gone? We'll have a better time of it, I think. Then we've got McGinn dropping from playing central. We've got Rodgers off the right, a little bit bitty in some of his areas. Rashford and Ramsey is there as well. So defensively, Ramsey, brilliant. And, opposite side, we don't get the same because there's a slight imbalance to what we're trying to do there. So there's a little bit of a breakdown of the player individual performances. Their XG is only at 1.95, as is at 0.74. They had one big chance. We had two big chances. So, there lies in itself opportunities. So if we have a look at passing, they had 795. We only had 205. Duels, 54, one for Villa, 55 aerial, 38% dribbles for Villa, defending 65% tackles, one. So those are my thoughts. And I think there will be a little bit of a tactical readjustment for Emery, especially in the second leg. We're not going to go gun ho. We're not going to open ourselves up. It will be more of the same, but just a little tactical variation, I think, of certain areas can be adjusted. It's difficult, isn't it? Because sometimes we'll say, what about this player? And it's like, oh no, he can't play because of this player. A player for me, and this to some might sound really wild, but a player that I see doing quite well would be someone like Onana, because there's more presence in that midfield, and it'll mean moving someone else out of position slightly or tweaking it, but if it enables us to dominate midfield a little bit more, which is, I think, probably what's got to happen, then maybe we could see something like that happening. Because I felt presence-wise, he was okay, Onana. Airily, if we're going long, Onana could have a different type of profile, like holding the ball up. Striker-wise, it was a tough night for Rashford, but again, he was able to get on the ball. He was able to get touches. He was able to get his head up. He was able to be a runner. He was able to be a threat. But he just needs something else around him that when he gets his head up, that he's got an option to be able to pass to. So I think, today I feel better. I definitely feel better. But they are a brilliant team. But we can't give up, can we? So it's not the time to give up. So it's 2 goals. Let's get the next one. And hopefully anything can happen. Anything can happen. Pressure. Do they underestimate us even more and think the game's won and we get that goal? Who knows? But we've got to ask questions, and we've got to go back and have a little bit of a look at the drawing board, because, like I say, it's not a time to give up. And if it's not a time to give up, then we can improve. And for me, I've shown little areas of where I believe that we can improve. So, yeah. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. It's never good talking about a loss, but there we are. So, Villa fans, smash the likes, comment your thoughts. Up the Villa.